friends. I'm Ana Gasteyer. I did the Mee-Ow Show in 1988 and 1989. Yes. And we were thinking about this reunion and all of the ways that Mee-Ow Show obviously impacted. For me, it was really, truly the equivalent of my Greek life or my big community that I found. It was the first place, I think, in my life that I joined a group. I was like, aha, I found the weirdos, my tribe. I don't know if you guys feel similarly, but it went on to influence my career in all manner of incredibly meaningful ways. After Northwestern, it was sort of the essential Northwestern experience of collaboration and creativity, and I made relationships in there that literally changed my career. My very best friend and maid of honor, who is not here today, but who I am literally on a show for Paramount with right now, and developing another show. We wrote lots and lots of sketches together, and in the Mee-Ow Show. So and so many close and connected relationships beyond that. And what I wanted to talk about today, because obviously Mee-Ow alum are well known in the entertainment business, and have moved on, as you just saw in the last panel, to become, fancy showrunners and make things that everybody's heard of, is that it's also a set of skills and a community that, in the true Northwestern way, leads to an incredibly interesting and diverse portfolio of future careers outside of the sort of traditional doctor, lawyer, showrunner lines that you might think of when you explain to your parents why your tuition's so expensive. So I thought it would be fun to talk with some Mee-Ow alum who have gone on to do incredible and amazing and unusual things. And I'd like to talk to them about the ways in which Mee-Ow influenced sort of where they are today and their various and sundry fascinating jobs. So hello, grown-ups. It's nice to meet you. Thank you for representing people who have real jobs. Appreciate it. And I thought we could all go around and just, if you wouldn't mind, just starting left to right or whatever, just explaining who you are and a little bit about what you do, and maybe your favorite memory of Mee-Ow, or if you accidentally, I don't know, wiped out or embarrassed yourself.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. I'm Carly Ciarriocchi. I joined in 2007 and co-directed in 2008, my senior year. And I am in media.
Yeah.
It's kids media. Maybe they thought that didn't count, but no. So I work in children's television and podcasts as a host and writer-producer, but it is definitely extremely specific and niche. And I came into the kids media industry through a show called Sunny Side Up, which isn't on anymore, but it was a live preschool morning show that was unscripted, like a beat-based show. And I mean, it directly, I feel like my ability to show up even in that audition and just like do insane things.
Did you say beat-based?
Beat-based. So
like, did you drop a beat? Like, what do you mean?
Well, I mean, look.
Oh, really?
We can if we want to, we can.
I mean, see what I mean? I did not get that from Mee-Ow, and now I know that there's a place for it with a job.
There are jobs that are founded on beats of all kinds. So but there was no script. It was.
I thought you were like, and in this beat, the lady walks into the store.
Yeah, the store beat is like.
Thank you for clarifying. Not a story beat.
It's a little lighter on the feet.
Okay,
exactly. We're all beat-based.
Thank you. I'm putting it on my special skills right now.
So yeah, that's what I do. It was a live show, so the improv. I mean, we had no script. We were flying by the seat of our pants every day. There was a chicken puppet. It was hilarious. And I think that's what I'll say. Oh, memory. Getting into Mee-Ow felt like insane to me. I came in freshman year and saw everybody on stage. Oh my gosh, they're rock stars. I could never. And then when Jessica Lowe and Nick Kanellis showed up at my door in the middle of the night when I was a junior, like screaming, I just like didn't think it was real. And then we like went out and drank on the town, and it was fun and special.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
My name is Danielle Calvert. I also am kids TV industry, so I guess not good enough for the other panel, but great for this one.
But changing the world in a more meaningful way. I just like, let's be honest.
Or destroying it. Yeah.
We can't all be Norman Lear, guys.
Yeah. I mean, we've probably all seen the documentary on kids TV, The Dark Side of Kids TV too. But I started out, I did Mee-Ow my senior year. I auditioned. I actually started out as a music major at Northwestern, and then
Same.
Really? Oh, that's great. Okay. Yeah.
Don't remember a thing.
I didn't learn anything useful as a music major. But yeah, I saw Mee-Ow perform similar to Carly my freshman year. I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. I did improv in high school, which was like Whose Line Games. And I was amazed to see that there was a show with like Whose Line Games. And like all of these people were rock stars to me. And I auditioned my sophomore, junior year, didn't get in, finally got in my senior year. It was amazing. I think for me, Mee-Ow has been super helpful in kids TV because it is so silly, and like you can just be silly and you can just be goofy and like have fun, and that's the job, which is amazing. Yeah, I guess my favorite Mee-Ow memory, my senior year, I was also an RA, and my wonderful coach, Aaron, one of the directors is here. We would sometimes rehearse at Shepherd, where I was an RA, because I had to be on duty a certain number of nights of the week, and we had to rehearse a certain number of nights of the week. So I would be like on duty while we were doing our Mee-Ow rehearsals. So that was really fun. I got more respect as an RA because I was in Mee-Ow, which was pretty cool. But yeah, Mee-Ow was great.
Amazing.
I'm Karen Cooper, and I was in the '84 cast. And what am I? Good year. Yeah, I was also a script writer for the '83 year, which was amazing. I learned a lot, and I started out in children's television, a third one, crazy, and then this is nutty, but yeah, I was recruited to figure out interactive television at Microsoft, and that began, and that was in 1994, and that was, I went there for the release of Windows 95. So I spent, the rest of my career has been in tech, and so that's just been a really interesting ride, startups and big companies. And one of my favorite memories is we were a really immature group. Is that fair? Is that okay to say that?
Absolutely.
We were childish. It was sweet. It was sweet. We had memories last night. We played Spin the Bottle at one rehearsal. I do know that for 1 second. And we stayed overnight in Kelly's dorm, and we had like in your sorority house in Tridelt, and you had a Lance nightgown for everybody, including the men's, and that really happened. That was a fond memory.
Saskia Young. I was. What is happening? I don't understand. I did Mee-Ow at 94 and 95. And I left school, and I actually did go into entertainment for like a decade, but I think the reason they have me here is because I now work in politics. I work doing grassroots organizing. I worked on a couple of presidential. Let's win in November! It's a thing. So I've been doing that for like the last 10 years or so, worked on a couple of presidentials, and now work with a progressive.
She helped Barack Obama get elected. Please give it up for Saskia Young.
And she's helping Trump not get elected this time.
We'll all talk about that one, for sure. And so I've been doing that for like the last 10 years or so, and with an organization currently called Indivisible. We are a national progressive movement. We have about 2 million members. Wow. In about 2,000 groups across the country. And I handle about a third of the country, 13 states or so, just trying to reactivate them, trying to get people to do things to motivate people to go to the polls and vote the right way and educate. And so, memories. I guess you want a memory?
No pressure.
Free trip to the Bahamas. That was awesome. What? We had a fucking free trip to the Bahamas. That was Jeannie LaPlante. Thank you. And
That's amazing.
And Jeannie full on took us all to the Bahamas for spring break for free. And
Did you have to perform?
The cast did a little show on the beach to earn their keep, and we just had a great time. So,
Wow.
yeah.
That's
was
a good memory.
Never got to go to the Bahamas. I'm Pat Buetow, 2013 and 14. I actually, it's funny, I actually just this week got a new job at like an ad agency proper. Yeah, cheer for that.
You guys are going to leave me alone on a woo? It's a man has employment.
I like a staggered woo. That's more powerful.
A polite smattering.
Which is kind of the woo. It's kind of the culmination of a couple years now of work as essentially, I guess I will self-describe as an influencer in front of a room full of adults. But of making short comedy sketches on TikTok and Instagram, doing some paid sort of like brand videos that they will pay you to do to advertise Old Spice or Twisted Tea, pre-canned hard iced tea. The college kids might drink that. I should have they sent me a bunch, it's disgusting. You guys were probably like, I should have brought the last box to give to you. We can't get rid of the Twisted Tea. It tastes like Dimetap, the cough medicine. But anyway, so, that's, I mean, a lot of the, obviously a lot of the writing or improvising or just comedic timing skills that you use in my own videos, and then as much as they let me to in the advertisements until Old Spice is like, you can't use the word doctor in the video for legal purposes, and things like that. But all of those were developed very much so in Mee-Ow. I mean, I had a similar experience of, I think you said finding your weirdos, and I was a theater major, so there were a lot of weirdos to choose from. But the specific, like...
You can still say weirdo, by the way. It's okay.
Is that okay?
I checked. My daughter's a senior. She said it was fine.
Okay. But yeah, I mean, it was just a great, really my favorite thing that I did in college. A great joy to get to make comedy with really funny, smart people and just kind of improve each other's writing and improvising and everything. And I just want to finally, a little quick aside to share a story about Danielle's background as an RA. She didn't remember this story, but she was my RA when I was a freshman. She sent me I got a Facebook message one day. That's how we used to talk to each other. And she was like, look, your dorm room reeks of weed. I'm supposed to just report that as the RA, but I'm going to give you a heads up first because I know you from, improv stuff. So lock it up. And so you never know what kind of connections and
yeah. I think I don't remember the moment because I was also smoking a lot of weed.
Beautiful.
Hi, I am Scott Duff. I was in the 92 cast, and right now I am a professional gay. Yeah, there we are.
Does it pay well?
It does not pay well at all. Don't do it. I am a Chicago-based comic, actor, and radio host. My whole career and my time at Northwestern was nothing but yes and. I was getting into Mee-Ow. Was like, what the fuck? Like, this is amazing. Like, it was incredible. And there were, it was just like, oh wow, I got in. And I remember it was like a really crazy week because also like the Dolphin Show was auditioning at the same time, and I was called back for.
It's a nail biter.
For Pap, I know, in Big River. I spent the entire weekend running back to like sing like Government from Big River, and then running back over here and being like, I'm on Lufthansa Airlines now, and it's tight, like all that bullshit. Like it was just so weird. Like, it was But finally, like, I actually was exhausted, and I saw Lily. Where's Lily? Is she here? Oh, she's there. Hey, Lily. She was the one who actually told me that I was cast. She's like, you don't have to go back to your callback. I'm like, yes. But anyway, my career path went to just saying yes to when things pop up. I also had this very big need, even though like I was the funny guy. I also had this very, very huge need to be like, I am a serious actor, and we'll do actor stuff. And I wanted to make sure that while I was at Northwestern, I got to do, the Mammoth play, the Greek tragedy, the musical, just because, like, when else are you going to have this time to fail with zero consequences? It's really great. So I've just kind of been saying yes and the whole time. And, like, I've got a radio show, a thriving 21st century industry. It's like on the actual radio. But I've been doing it for it's 10 years, and I helped start a theater company here in Chicago called About Face Theater. For those of you who aren't familiar, it is dedicated to telling the lives and stories of LGBTQ folks and talking about questions about gender and sexuality. And I'm really, really, it's going to be around for 30 years next year. And I do big gay stand-up, too. So it's just like, I talked a lot. Here, go.
Hi, my name's Mark Brogger. I'm a non-professional gay. I produced the 1984 and 1985 show, so I'm part of the 1984 and 85 mafia that is peppered throughout this entire reunion. 3 of us are on this panel right now. I got into Mee-Ow with Eric Gilliland when Arts Alliance said, would you do this? And we said yes, and how? And we then started kind of from zero, and that 0 to 1, because no actor returned other than Karen's co-writing skills on the 1983 show, which was wonderful, right? But we did it from 0. And I would say the happiest memory, or one of the main memories, was the rap show, the rap party for the 1984 show. On closing night, got a standing ovation, went to Richard's house, 3, 4 in the morning, and it was saying goodbye to that experience. Was like, it was so euphoric because it was scary, but scary got exciting because it was going to be successful, and then it was over. And that over filled me with, or continued the rest of my life of there's going to be things that last, and then they're going to end. But then they start again. And if you can embrace the start again, you're going to be just fine.
Oh, so
because
good.
the start again is...
Mark's dropping the pearls. Write it down.
Seniors, raise your hand. Who are seniors, right? You're about to leave this city.
Is there really? There's one senior here?
And go to a new city, and that's
good.
called starting again.
Yeah, right.
And it's not another senior year,
Right.
right? And I sort of spent, a short 9 years trying to have a senior year throughout my 20s until the universe said, that's over. Hi, my name is Mark. And, but that through corporate life is the same. Anyone in the house? I got into corporate marketing and work in startups and tech up in San Francisco. But the through line is the starting over and starting again happens in corporate world all the time, whether you got a new boss, whether the product changes, or you got a new product. And if you take that as a setback, someone's fucking with my shit, I just had this figured out. Like, I'm at the front of the line, I'm going to go to the back of the line. That entitlement will kill you. And it's starting over. If you can remember when you got into Mee-Ow and someone's screaming down the hallway, and now you're going to meet some new people like Kelly Olsen, and you're going to be able to have this new experience. You do that in life, you're golden.
Amazing. Richard started over too. You have a start over story too.
Somewhat, yes.
Somewhat?
Yes. By the way, Ana is doing an unbelievable job so far, are you not?
That felt sarcastic. That felt sarcastic. We'll talk about it after.
I'm not kidding at all. No.
Talk about it after. It was a brilliant deadpan, probably learned. All right, no. Richard, do tell us about it, because we're actually going to start with you. And by the way, thank you for your amazing introductions and for answering all the questions I was going to ask. So it's really helpful. But no, I mean, I think that we'll start with you. But the thing that I keep thinking about, so obviously improv, everybody in this room is familiar with improv and familiar with the idea of yes-anding, of building upon information, and collaboration, and teamwork, and working under pressure, and all of these sort of special skills that are required. Crowd control, all kinds of crazy things that come from improv. And I think that there are uses and applications in really interesting ways in what all of you have described about what you do. And so I'm kind of interested in this conversation examining some of that. And I thought that we would start with Richard. In how would you say that Mee-Ow has a skill that you can apply into the dog-eat-dog world of candy manufacturing?
Yes, so I'll give you a brief introduction.
Yes.
I'm Richard Radutzky.
Yes.
Thank you. 1984, 1985. Wheatley 81. Thank you. It's a high school friend.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you did Mee-Ow.
I
You
did
went
Mee-Ow.
away.
I
You
did
entertainment.
Mee-Ow. I was in Chicago theater for a while at Steppenwolf and Remain Theater Company, and I actually met my lovely and beautiful wife, who is in the back over there, fellow Wildcat. Mark Brogger was kind enough to get her a badge that said super fan.
That's very nice.
She was obviously one of my groupies. And then my wife and I spawned 3 children who all went to Northwestern
Amazing.
as well.
A full Wildcat den.
A whole Wildcat dance. My oldest son is a documentary filmmaker. My middle one works with me in the candy business, which I'll get to in a minute. And my youngest daughter is a writer and comedian living in Los Angeles working in a bagel store.
Incredible.
And my wife and I would come back to campus because she was actually in the Titanic Players. So it was kind of, it was surreal and beautiful. I will say I did have a memory of Mee-Ow.
Yeah.
Dory reminded me of this. When Dory was running up and down the aisles before, I'm sorry, I have to do this. This was 40 years ago when we did Mee-Ow in
Just watch your back. Watch your
84,
back.
85. Sorry. And I don't know how many people are going to know who this is, but I did a Phil Donahue.
Yeah. Oh, yes!
Like this. Donahue, I'm like, Anna, talk to me about those shoes. So that memory was just jogged. Thank you, Dory. So I think what's interesting about what I learned and the people that I met here at Northwestern and obviously in Mee-Ow helped me when I changed careers. I was about to go to Los Angeles and sign with an agent and do the whole pilot season thing, and I came back to New York and went into my family business, which is Joyva. I don't know if any of you know. We make tahini and marshmallow twists and jelly rings and sesame crunch, and it's a 115-year-old family business started by my grandfather in 1907.
Amazing. Absolutely amazing.
And I worked with my dads and my uncles, who were definitely old school and in a different generation. But I will say the one thing that I realized working in the corporate world or in the business world was the training that I got here and the fun, as Eric said, that I experienced here. It was a little startling to some of the people that I dealt with in business, because there's sometimes, and I don't want to generalize, but a bit of a lack of humanity, maybe, a bit of a lack of humor, just kind of chill and relax. And I know my candy was supposed to get there on Wednesday, but it'll get there on Thursday, and the buyer from Kroger is all pissed off and he wants to get on a call. And if you deal with people with humor and you disarm them with personality, it actually goes a long way. And I think that was certainly one of the things I brought with me into my world. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
Yes.
Amazing. Saskia, you have such a mind-blowing and impressive career, as we've all applauded. I am curious about what you do on the political side when like a Hillary campaign or an Obama campaign or all the current work that you do, we've talked about yes-anding, crowd control. I mean, I would imagine there's a lot of skills that are applicable in terms of persuasive work.
Sure, persuasion's a huge thing in the work that I do, and where I think where Mee-Ow and improv and all of that all comes together is one of the things that we talk about a lot when we're talking to voters and trying to motivate them and trying to educate them is meeting them where they're at. And also finding shared values. So if somebody has a certain opinion about something that you don't quite agree with or whatever, finding that shared value, like, is it about safety? Like, what are you really kind of trying to get at? And then kind of yes-anding that value and saying, I get it, absolutely, we all want to be safe. This is why we're not going to vote for Donald Trump. Yeah, none of us in here is,
It's a safe space.
no,
You are
we'll
safe.
have words. That'll happen. But I think that, and then also trying to diffuse really intense situations. I mean, that has happened with volunteers quite a bit. And just trying to manage really intense feelings and manage, like, I remember we would do things like have spontaneous dance parties whenever somebody told us to fuck off, because it was like because it was either have all of my volunteers in tears or dance to Beyonce, and so it was like, we're gonna go with always dance to Beyonce. Always dance to, like, that is actually all you need to learn at Northwestern. That's it. I just saved you $100 grand. Dance to Beyonce. But yeah, and also creating community, which is huge in improv as well. Like the trust that you have to have within the community that you have to build in order to move forward and convince and educate and motivate and all of that stuff I think that's all applicable. Does that make sense?
It makes total sense. And I think that the ensemble thing in its essence is so, whenever you start theater, a lot of theater majors here, you do those terrible machine exercises where, exactly. And a one woo. That was a one wooer. But I think that actually improv, where your own survival is sort of dependent upon the other people that you're working with, the other players making eye contact, listening, and continuing to develop the story together regardless, because you're in front of a live audience, like we're in rehearsal. I just think there's no way, it's the only, that sort of cooperative foundation can be applied to an incredible number of situations. Pat, interesting to me. So you have 500,000 social followers. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
On YouTube or
On TikTok.
on TikTok? Good for you.
The spy one.
Sorry?
I said the spy one.
Yeah, I was going to say. So you know all of our data.
Yeah.
You know my social security number.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. No, I just wanted to make sure you knew my numbers. But so I've been thinking about you because that's an individual task, and I'm actually I think it's a generational thing for those of us who have this kind of conventional idea of beginning and middle and end storytelling, to have to reduce our comedy to a 60-second spot.
Yeah.
And you mentioned how much you loved collaborating with people, so I'm sort of curious. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but what are the distinctions, or what are the challenges, or the applicable skills to have to create that comedic voice all by yourself and with such regularity? You have to do it like every day, right?
Yeah. The nature of TikTok in particular is very like ephemeral, and so it's kind of just about not spending too much time on any particular idea or bit, just kind of like making it to a degree that you think it's funny enough to put it out there, and then making another one, which actually was great. Similar to Mee-Ow in a way of like, you have to write these sketches in a couple weeks and put them up. You don't have that much time to really like
worry if it's a stinker.
Yeah, you can't necessarily like micromanage all the jokes. You kind of just, there's something there. You feel that instinctually. You follow the fun, as they say, to just really drop a heavy cliche in there, and you just kind of trust your gut, and that's something that you learn to do that through improv and through sketch writing. Doing it alone, I mean, I started doing that during COVID when I was living in a tiny apartment by myself. And so it was kind of trying to recreate that fun that you have in the group alone, and maybe like, it's a little maybe sort of on the fringes of like schizophrenia to be like alone in your apartment, kind of like riffing with yourself, but it's really not that different. You're kind of, you know, I mean, if you've spent so many hours with funny people improvising, it's not hard to imagine kind of what someone might be giving you back and write a sketch that way. I also do I do live streams on TikTok where it's like a live broadcast, and I call it the writer's room, because like people who watch will come in and they'll suggest an idea for a skit, and then you kind of riff on it, and they'll be commenting and adding jokes or like adding directions that can go. So it is collaborative with a bunch of people, most of whom I've never met, just through the phone.
Wow.
So
yeah, you know, that was my experience when I mean, again, I have a love-hate relationship with social media, but when, and I resisted Twitter forever and ever and ever. And then I finally broke down and did it. And it was this sort of like instant moment of, it was a writer's room. I met so many comics. It was shocking. And people that you just, you know, early in that early explosive, you know, era of Twitter where, you know, whatever, the Mindy Kaling, like all these people that were just writing jokes all the time and sort of trying out jokes. And it was a good kind of laboratory and not as lonely as I expected, because I really hate working alone. That's like my adult revelation about myself, is I just don't like working alone. I like working with other people, and I'm better when I work with other people, but that is the function of the social piece of social media. It's less lonesome.
yeah, it's not the same as in-person interaction. It can never completely scratch that itch, but it can suffice in place of that if for some reason you like, if you're talking to someone who doesn't live near you, or if it's a global pandemic and you're like not supposed to go anywhere
in your house,
you know. In those instances it can kind of be like, you know, diet interaction, and so it's not that different, but I mean, I personally much prefer working with people in person too.
Super interesting. This question is actually for Carly and Danielle, because you both work with kids. It's basically, you kind of, in some respects, never really left Mee-Ow. Like your work is still very much about play and about, you know, sort of early like Viola Spolin. I just dropped a little. Okay. It was not a total waste of money, okay? I may not know what scale has 3 sharps, but I know who Viola Spolin is. You know, the sort of yes ending of that. But my question is, what are the distinctions? And so, maybe this is too hard to answer, but how do you adapt your work to adjust to which audience, for children or olds?
I mean, a lot of it is weirdly the same in some ways. Like writing in a way that will create conditions for people to experience joy and delight and discovery and wonder. You can do that for preschoolers. You can do it for 4 to 7. You can do it for 8 to 12. You can do it for all ages. I mean, it gets technical for kids stuff, like the difference between writing for preschool and the difference between writing for older kids, for sure. And I think it's like the reps of spending time within those age groups helps you understand how to scale for each one. But I notice a lot of the stuff I end up doing, just as a multi-hyphenate, when I'm doing stuff that's facing adults, either whether it's as a writer, producer, host, or like a facilitator, ends up being a lot of the stuff that I would do with like a group of kids in like a drama class. And the scaling is actually not that much different. If anything, like the adults just like need a little extra permission, but like they want it. They actually want to play. And the kids already know. So like you don't need to teach them anything. You don't need to like set them up for it. You just open the door. So maybe that's it. The adults just need like a little reminder, little extra permission. Like we're gonna get stupid, we're gonna get silly. And then there we are. I don't know. That's how, yeah. Is that an answer to that question?
Yeah, it's a great answer.
Yeah, I feel like for me it's, I've worked in like kids sitcoms specifically, and a lot of the writing is, can a child perform this joke?
Oh.
So it's like you could write something that's very funny when like you say it or somebody else in the room says it, but does a kid like process how to perform that joke? Not necessarily, because you're working with a lot of like more green actors. And the shows that I've worked on are like supposed to be 4-quadrant, where you have jokes for the parents. A lot of the stuff that I've worked on has been reboots of like old shows, so it's meant to be watched with like parents and kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like right now I'm working on the Wizards of Waverly Place reboot, which is, yeah, so you want to have You want to have jokes that are there for like the people that grew up watching that are now watching it with their kids.
Right.
But yeah, so much of it, at least in my experience, has been, can a child performer perform this? And then like, yeah, you obviously can't do like sex jokes with kids. Like it limits the like scope of the jokes that you're doing. But it also is like, yeah, you can be sillier. Yeah, it is just like, yeah, let the kids do the dumb things that kids do, and like kids will find that funny.
Amazing. Mark, your turn.
Okay.
Your resume crosses a ton of categories.
Yes.
You didn't cover all of it, but it sounds like you've worked in hospitality, you've worked in entertainment, you're now in the finance sector. Is that
Yes.
correct? So I guess my question would be like, you sort of mentioned this in your intro,
Right.
so forgive the redundancy, but is there a specific skill that you feel like you've had to lean on? Like in terms of, my husband works in advertising, and I feel like my application, my personal theory would be, you're always dealing with a problem that has to be solved very quickly.
Yeah.
And yeah, as Richard mentioned, a lot of humorless people.
A lot of humorless people. And Richard's right, you bring humor. I would say it goes to storytelling. All right, so I look at working in these different industries, but I'm a marketing guy, executive, whatever. But it's bringing the story to any kind of, to any channel that you're on, whether you're on a TikTok, whether you're doing an Instagram video, a reel, whatever, or a lot of websites. There's a lot of websites. I sort of bumped into entertainment working with Disney for their websites. But it's a story. So a website is a story. A website is an experience with a beginning, a middle, and an end.
And did you write sketches a lot for Mee-Ow?
Not at all. Producing, non-performing,
Oh.
non-charismatic individual completely. These people are the personalities. I'm here to fill a seat. Look at this. This isn't for the stage.
So this is really an HR story. That's what we're hearing.
There was a vacancy. No, but it is a structure, and like Eric Romy taught me about any sketch that starts on a stage.
Right.
It starts with a line maybe given to us by the audience, and then there's a middle, and where's that end coming from? When are you going to call the blackout?
Mm-hmm.
And it's the same thing with the TV spot, a pre-roll ad. It's a spot on the Today Show of how you tell a story that ends with, maybe it's a conversion of someone buying something, or just checking out, or having a good feeling when they leave that. But it's the structure, beginning, middle, and end.
I love it. Good
Excellent.
answer.
By the way,
Applause for the answer.
I would say you're pretty charismatic.
I always I have this inside joke with my friend Tony that anyone who uses the word humor to describe something has no sense of humor. So, like if they say to you like, "I love how you use humor," you're like, "You just ruined it. You just took my whole personality and you made it a skill set." Like it's so irritating. Yeah, like literally, you're so organized and you used humor. And when you read an article and they're like, use humor to diffuse the situation. And I never know how to do it. It's an organic thing. Like it's a thing, and it is true. It is a skill, and it's a way that you are disarming people, like you were saying, and you're having fun with it. But I was thinking about it when you were talking about it, Richard, because it's really just about pulling in the humanity of the situation. Most humor in kind of a professional situation is kind of calling out what's happening in the space, you know? Or just literally being like, well, I guess we're really late on that deadline, Dave. That's an impression of a business person. Scott, you brought up your relationship to your identity and how your career has come together. And I was talking with a really close friend last night from the Mee-Ow Show, and you look back and you reflect on the ways that your own comedy mask has helped you in different ways. And he was saying that it was definitely instrumental in his reckoning with his own sexual identity, and how you use comedy in public, and whatever the things that we're embarrassed by or excited by about ourselves that we do kind of lead with. And I guess I just wanted to hear from you, because you've been such an advocate and for your community, and it's so instrumental in the work that you've done in both ways. Would you say that was a piece of your relationship to comedy, or that Mee-Ow, what was the intersection?
Mee-Ow definitely helped me, really helped me. Yeah, I was just talking to JP Manu before coming up here, and he's like, well, were you like, you were comfortably out before you came to school? And I'm like, I was out, but I was not comfortable, you know, like at all. Like, no, I mean, this was like in the 90s, and like, you know, and I had really like, we can go to, there were some shitty things that happened to me here, which.
We can use humor to diffuse that.
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you. Thank you, and thank you for that. 'Cause no, but like, but you know, it's very. I was in the cast with the first black woman. You know, like Danielle Calvert. Yeah. But it was very weird to have a moment because I knew that like the work that we were about to do, because we are an ensemble, like it requires honesty. There's a reason why like one of the books is called Truth in Comedy. You know, if it comes truthfully from you, if it comes truthfully from your experiences, then you'll be able to have that empathy. It's all about the narrative and things like that. So I, you know, had to basically sit with these people who I just met, but many who I had been, you know, I watched the year before because I was a sophomore when I was in it, and be like, hi, I guess I'm the gay one in the group, you know, and it made me more comfortable with who I am. You know, it was able to, comedy is a very forceful act. You are making people laugh, and it's a very powerful thing. And if you are able to if this gay guy, back in the 90s, that was the thing, was able to
You'd
make...
be so many more things now.
I know, we are so many things and genders, and it's a wonderful tapestry. But at the time, it was really like, it was, for me, being like, I am the out gay man, and I'm making this frat guy laugh. It's like, I won. You know, like there's that sort of moment.
And even in its own way, like I was 88, 89, like, I mean, it was just, you know, literally when I got Saturday Night Live, female comedians stopped me on the street and said, I'm so sorry. It's such a bummer that you're going there. You're so talented.
Yeah.
And it was like the greatest opportunity ever. And the assumption was like, yeah, you're going to get spit out. So Mee-Ow was the first and primal place where I was like, well, obviously I just have to write my own material like that. And I'll figure out how to work with these other weirdos and do that. And it'll be divine.
Yeah.
But so it's just this resource that in the most positive way kind of turns, you get advocacy over your own narrative in a lot of ways.
Yeah,
you know?
and it also really informed having that experience of being like you are confident in who you are. It really fed the rest of my artistic life, like being able to, like I had to make a choice. Am I going to be a part of this big gay theater company in a time where there was no Ellen, there was no Will and Grace, nobody was out of the closet and had a career. And my first thing, like the first thing I did was help form About Face Theater, and it was like there's no hiding. So it's like, all right, well, thanks.
I love it.
Oh my God, I'm so brave, you know. Ugh.
But, you know, all of those principles, right? Like failing and embarrassing yourself and asking for, I mean, you know, it's sort of funny that I asked you guys your Mee-Ow members because, of course, all of my sort of articulated, oh my gosh, it was so wonderful. But if I'm like really being honest, it's the 5 minutes before you fall asleep and you're like, that was the stupidest joke that I made. I'm so embarrassed. You know, and you lay in bed and get the hot shame when you remember just a terrible prop tag joke that you did. Like, why did I make another colonoscopy joke?
Can I one
but
thing?
the bravery of that and knowing that you're going to survive and whatever little neural pathway does its job, you know, that's like, well, this humiliation seemed to pay off. So I think there's a life lesson in that, right?
I would say one additional thing, and like, congrats. One of the happiest memories or the moving experiences that I had was I was half in the closet, half out of the closet in 1984, right? And in 1984 was a different time, crazy time for the gay community, right? Yeah. And so in 1984, the one half of the group that knew I was gay told the other half thought I was gay. So then I had to go have conversations with about 20 people, all with lunches I had to pay for, very expensive. And I was going into these lunches expecting with like, well, you know I'm gay, expecting that sort of, oh, how courageous, Mark. But a bunch of great people said, so you call us your best friends, but you didn't tell us half your life. And that experience stuck with me forever. And so as far as hope and talking to like Willa and Justin and Nelga and everybody and Liv, show up with your authentic self and you'll be fine.
Oh my God, this got touching. Beautiful. Wow. Well, does anybody have a fart joke to end things? Because we are about to wrap it up. But I do, yes. Sorry, Karen, you're the most grown-up person here. I forgot to acknowledge that. You really are. Thank you for representing us and in all of our ways. Is there just a consistent improv skill that you would say that you use in tech in corporate America? I mean, really, you work in corporate America, or you did.
Yeah. I would say, the having of a good idea is a skill that I took from improv.
So how do you determine that it's a good idea?
Well, it's more like the spirit of generating one. And that my first job out of college was at the Muppets, and that mapped 100%. You have to come up with a new show idea. You are in a room. Amazing. You have props. You have things to delight yourselves. You are going to laugh. You need to laugh. You need to have fun. And that spirit generates good ideas. And then when I went to Microsoft, it was the fucking opposite. It was like,
do not have fun.
It was like, okay, I was a producer and I had to do prototype, and it's like, I knew these are the limits of the platform. Let's get some engineers in here. Let's get everybody who will ultimately work on it, testers and program managers. We're going to come up with the idea. And their technique at Microsoft at the time, I'm sure it's different now, it was a firing squad. So I'm in the room with them, like, okay, let's have fun. And these guys they're like this. I have a question. How many will there be? I'm like, I don't know, but let's get going. And they're like, how many minutes? And so the idea was, they had a class called Precision Questioning at Microsoft. Oh my God,
I need to take that.
And it was like, you leave that class and there's a list of 1,000 questions you could ask to be able to hammer a hole in somebody's project. And if the firing squad fires 1 million holes in your project, you can't do your project. Whoa. And so I made it through that, and somehow, but at the end of my time, coming up with new ideas, and I shifted into startups, and I became an editorial person, had a writing team and stuff. And the way we could generate, I was able to run the team, but so I could bring that esprit de corps to the room. But we did generating ideas in spreadsheets. I was like, everybody open Excel. Everybody has a tab. We need a new tagline for this. We need a name of a new feature. And we're all going to chat, but we're all typing.
So it's like a hive mind. You were able to
hive mind, yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
I want to thank all of you guys for sharing your stories and your insights. Thank you guys.